Tonight, the University of Tennessee is ready to take center stage in college football. Manning the Volunteers' high-velocity attack is a cover boy quarterback, building a legend taller than the one built by his own father. With Peyton Manning's myriad talents, Tennessee could be the most explosive team in the nation for 1996. The UCLA Bruins saw Terry Donahue ride off into retirement with the winningest record in Pac-10 history. And now it's Bob Toledo's turn, and he brings the newfangled Westwood offense into the land of the SEC. It's Tennessee and UCLA coming up next on CBS. Tennessee football team has made its traditional walk across campus to Neyland Stadium, and thousands have followed as orange abounds. But there are other ways to arrive for the games here. The Volunteer Navy has navigated the Tennessee River and dropped anchor. And whether it's by land or by sea, they've all come to the biggest football arena on earth, Neyland Stadium, all set for UCLA and Tennessee. It's an expanded Neyland Stadium, some 10,000 seats added to the north end, pushing capacity here to over 100,000. Bigger and better. It's the theme here at Tennessee this season, lofty goals and high aspirations. And hi, everybody. Jim Nance along with Terry Donahue, and welcome to the season premiere of college football here on CBS. And Terry, great to have you with us.
Well, thanks, Jim. It's great to be here. What a scene tonight.
It really is amazing. Tennessee has a Heisman hopeful in Peyton Manning. They also are dreaming of a national championship date down in New Orleans, January the 2nd, the Sugar Bowl. How about Tennessee?
Well, there's no question Tennessee is after a conference and a national championship, and well, they should be. Peyton Manning is a special player. You don't get a player like that in your program very often. But Tennessee, the real key for them is to keep him on the field and have that offensive line protect him. They have 4 new starters in that offensive line. Phil Fulmer, the head coach of Tennessee, is an old offensive line coach. He's put his personal touch on that line. He says they're going to be good. They're going to protect Peyton Manning.
Well, Tennessee has an advantage. It opened last week, annihilating UNLV here 62-3. But the Bruins of UCLA, this is their first game. No one knows what to expect. What do you think?
Well, it's an advantage for UCLA. They have the element of surprise. New head coach, new offense and defensive coordinators. Everything's new. But I'll tell you what, the key to UCLA is the tailback, Skip Hicks. If he can produce yardage, UCLA will have a balanced attack, take a lot of pressure off Cade McNown. Skip Hicks has been an unhealthy, unlucky athlete, but as a freshman, he rushed for over 500 yards. He's got the talent.
Well, for the first time in 20 years, UCLA will play a football game without Terry Donahue on the sidelines as a head coach. And what a paradox. Here you are tonight announcing the game. Must be a very strange feeling for you right now.
Well, you know, last night when we watched UCLA practice and Bob Toledo called the team up on the field, first time in 20 years I wasn't in the middle of that huddle. But this is Bob Toledo's team. I wish him well. He's got his hands full with Tennessee tonight.
The pride of the Southland Marching Band. They're about to form the giant T, a landing pad for the Volunteers, who will arrive in just a moment. What a feeling, combusting out before 100,000. It's the second-ranked team in the country, finishing second last year in the coaches' poll, third in the AP with an 11-1 record. Philip Fulmer, the head coach, in his 4th full season. The decisive underdog, the UCLA Bruins, season opener. And Bob Toledo makes his debut in just a moment. For the 12th time, Tennessee and UCLA coming up next.
CBS Sports coverage of college football is sponsored by Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. the Nicoderm CQ patch. You bring a commitment, Nicoderm CQ brings the rest. And by First Brands Corporation, makers of STP Complete Fuel System Cleaner.
Knoxville, Tennessee, the gateway to the Great Smoky Mountains, Neyland Stadium. And a beautiful night here. 73 and light winds, just a slim chance of showers. And before we kick it, let's bring in our sideline reporter, Michelle Tafoya. Welcome, Michelle.
Jim, thanks very much. Boy, if it weren't for these headsets, I'd never hear you. But a message was sent inside the Tennessee locker room tonight. They knelt for their pregame prayer, and then Philip Fulmer gave them some reminders. He said, poise and alertness. UCLA is going to throw some things at you you're not expecting. Be ready. And then he emphasized fierceness and finish to the defense. He said every down, every play must be played with fierceness and finish. And then the team repeated its 7 maxims, finishing up with carry the fight to our opponent and keep it there for 60 minutes. Now over in the UCLA locker room, Bob Toledo told his team, you should be nervous. That means you're prepared. Stay focused. Don't worry. There will be mistakes. There will never be a perfect game. But he also said, play for 60 minutes. Jim, Terry?
Let it rip. That's been the motto for Bob Toledo. And yes, he does like to gamble on the football field. Tennessee won the toss and deferred. So UCLA will receive. Chris Hove will kick. Keith Brown, a freshman, and Ryan Rock, a freshman, back to receive. So inexperience to field the opening kick. And it's Keith Brown up the middle. A speedster. Not able to get into a full gallop, but he's out to the 23-yard line. Cade McNown is a sophomore starter. He's the leading returning rusher from 95. Over 300 yards he rushed from the quarterback spot. He was 5-4 last year as a starter. 7 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He threw for 3 scores in the Bruins bowl game against Kansas over in Hawaii. The officiating crew tonight, it's an all SEC pack of officials. And the clock here never started, so a little malfunction at the get-go.
Please start the clock and run 10 seconds.
Jim, they're not going to make him kick it over again, are they? That Keith Brown, he did a great job. Freshman, first time in this kind of an environment, caught that ball, hit the middle.
We talked about Coach Toledo liking to gamble from time to time. Here's the SEC staff led by referee Dick Burleson, and that's a little bit of a risk, wouldn't you say, having 2 freshmen back there deep to return the opening kick?
Well, there's no question about it, and I'll tell you, Keith Brown was impressive on that particular play. I'd be a nervous wreck. 106,000 people here, your first college game, but he's an excellent player out of Arizona, the player of the year last year. He's going to be a big part of the Bruin attack this fall.
Terry, this is the 12th time these two have met. It's a very good intersectional rivalry. In fact, very underrated. They first met back in 1965, 5-4 and 2 ties.
Can't get a whole lot closer than that. Back in 65, the rivalry really was fueled by Tommy Prothro.
He was a man from Memphis, but the UCLA coach, Terry, you played for him. And they played that first game at the Liberty Bowl, won by Tennessee, rather controversially. First snap, McNown across the middle. That's Hicks breaking away, getting some running room across the 40. Blocker in front and into Tennessee territory. He trots to the 47. A gain of 30 on the first play of the night.
What a great way for UCLA to start this game. Cade McNown just drops a little underneath pass to Skip Hicks. Skip is a strong, powerful back, breaks a run, makes a great gain for UCLA on the opening play of the ball game. Skip Hicks tonight, he's got to be a factor in this game for UCLA. He was certainly a factor on the first play.
He was the Bruins' leading rusher when he was a freshman back in '93. But injury plagued ever since. Handoff to Hicks. Good hole on the right side. Stiff arms one tackle and breaks the second one. And out of bounds at the 35. Another first down for the Bruins. A run of 12. Skip Hicks is a junior from Wichita Falls, Texas. Cheyenne Caldwell will block out of the backfield. Rodney Lee just got a scholarship, starting at receiver with Jim McElroy and Mike Grieve. And the line with Ferris, Sauter, Stewart, Myers, Overhauser.
Chad Overhauser has his plate full tonight. He has to line up against Leonard Little, #1 for Tennessee, the best defensive player they have.
UCLA actually opened this game with 3 receivers. Danny Farmer was in the lineup. They've got a 3-receiver set once again. Farmer's in the slot to the left. First down from the Vols, 35. And a pass to Farmer for a short gain. Craig King on the collision. And he's not afraid to hit you. The Tennessee defense up front with Brown, Green, Duff, who made the big tackle in the Citrus Bowl against Eddie George, and Leonard Little.
The fastest defensive lineman in Tennessee history.
That's Little. King, Hines, Wilson, all very active. Strong linebacking core and safety and secondary group as well. Second down and 4. And this time Hicks is met right away by Bill Duff.
Tennessee takes great pride in the interior of that defense, and Bill Duff comes off the nose guard right there, takes Hicks in the backfield. Hicks has got to have more daylight, more running room to start a play than that. The offensive line has got to nail that penetration so that he can get started properly.
Hicks never had a chance. It's 3rd and 8 for the Bruins from the Tennessee 33. McNown, good time, right across the middle. That ball should have been caught by Farmer. He would have had the first down at the 20-yard line. He was popped, though, by Jason Parker. Part of that secondary crew, I said, is one of the strongest in the country, with Austin, Parker, Noel, and Fair.
Well, they're all experienced, Jim, and they're all athletic. Every one of those players in that secondary can line up and play a different position other than the one they play. That's highly unusual in any secondary group.
UCLA is going to attempt a 50-yard field goal. Bjorn Merton, senior from Centerville, Virginia. He was All-America as a freshman, but inconsistent since that season. Sojan on the hold. 50-yard kick. A beauty. And UCLA nets 3 on the opening series of the night. So thanks to a 30-yard pass play to Skip Hicks, the Bruins take the opening kick. Merton drills it from 50. UCLA 3, Tennessee nothing. Do you think Bob Toledo's overjoyed at that first series in that kick?
Well, he should be. That was a great kick by Bjorn Merton. What a fabulous way for him to start the season. 50-yard field goal. Bjorn was an All-American, Jim, as a freshman. Then had a couple tough years, but what a way for him to start.
Terry Fair is the deep man to return the kick from Greg Andrusick. Fair is a dangerous return man. Had a 50-yard run back last week against UNLV. Looking for the wedge. Only out to the 21. 3 for the Bruins on their first series, but maybe could have been more, Coach.
Well, you've got to be impressed with the way Cade McNown hit open receivers on the opening drive of the game. Here he lays the ball right where he needs to for Danny Farmer. Danny's got to come up with that catch. Jason Parker, #7, is a dangerous player back there in the middle of that Tennessee defense.
Would have been a first down at the 20, but what a hit delivered by Parker. Farmer, a freshman from Los Angeles. Now, Peyton Manning and the Vols will call it from the 20. Play action. Manning looking, across the middle, almost picked off. Almost got picked off long by Anthony Cobbs.
I'll tell you what's significant on that play. Peyton Manning got hit, knocked to the ground.
Peyton Manning, 19-2 as a starter. He was 6th last year in the Heisman voting. His first game ever for Tennessee was out at the Rose Bowl against UCLA. Took 3 snaps that night, handed it off all 3 times. Second down at 10. He rushed for 1,400 yards last season, but stuffed on his first carry tonight. Graham's a senior from Concord, North Carolina. He had 10 games over 100 yards last year. Ford blocks for him. Speedy Fleet with Kent and Nash, and Moore, a dangerous tight end, only a sophomore. On the line, Teague, Robinson, Gibson, Poole, and Rito.
The real question there is the Tennessee offensive line.
3rd and 11. Loss of a yard on that carry by Graham. Manning looking left side, and pass is caught by Marcus Nash. First down at the 38. A gain of 18.
Well, we see Marcus Nash here in the slot. He's one of the real speedy Tennessee receivers, and he does a great job here of getting off the coverage and concentrating on that ball. It's a great catch by Marcus Nash.
Sean Williams lost his footing for a moment, and that allowed Nash to get open. First down, Tennessee. Graham up the middle. Belted after a 3-yard gain. Included Sean Williams coming up from free safety. UCLA defensively, Damon Smith, he's just gone on scholarship. Ruckman, Kirschke. Linebacking core, maybe the strength of this defense, McGee, Wilmer, Ward.
All three of the linebackers have excellent speed for UCLA.
5 secondary members, the Guidry brothers, Javelin and Paul, Sean Williams, Abdul McCullough, the Rover, Cobbs. 3 receivers in the game for Tennessee. Peerless Price has come into the lineup. 2nd and 7. Pass out into the flat. Nash again into UCLA territory. And out of bounds all the way down to the 40-yard line.
One of the things that Tennessee has done on this drive, they're spreading the field with 4 wide receivers to try and thin out the defense. This is a perfectly timed pass by Peyton Manning to Nash. Doesn't get any better than that.
Nash's 2nd catch on Tennessee's first possession. 2 catches, 37 yards. That was a career high last week, 103 yards against UNLV.
Tennessee has so much speed on the field, they really put a lot of pressure on their defensive backs.
Pass all the way. Manning setting up the screen. That's the tight end, Dustin Moore, and that will lose about 3. The Bruins in position there. Jeff Ruckman, Philip Ward. They have a tight end at Tennessee, only a sophomore, Greenville, Tennessee, who gives them kind of a new look on offense here, but Moore unable to get any open territory on that play.
Well, Tennessee coaches feel that Moore is the most gifted tight end they've ever had in the history of the school, but he certainly didn't have any room there.
2nd down, 14. Manning looks left now, right side. He's going down. Ball free. Ball free. It is a fumble. He was not down. UCLA has recovered. Brian Wilmer with the recovery as Manning got hit. He was rocked by Jeff Ruckman.
Tennessee only had 10 turnovers all of last season. Here, Jeff Ruckman, a converted linebacker to nose guard, rips the ball loose and turns it over for the Bruins.
So the Tennessee drive comes to a close, and UCLA takes over at its own 45, leading 3-0. Hicks, good blocking. Gain of 7. He fumbled. Tennessee has it back. Tyrone Hines with the recovery. Noel, the strong safety, jarred it loose.
How often do you hear coaches say that it's going to come down to a game of turnovers? Here, Skip Hicks makes a positive gain, but the ball is knocked loose. Turnovers are always a coach's nightmare. That's what we fear more than anything else. We tell our teams right before we leave the locker room for the stadium, whatever you do, guys, don't turn it over.
Hicks a little groggy, but able to walk to the UCLA sideline. So back-to-back turnovers, and Tennessee, which had the football, at the Bruin 40. Now will take over at its own 48. Philip Fulmer. He knows how valuable that man is. Tyrone Hines. He was the second leading tackler last year. Big play man. Graham, he cuts outside. Breaks one tackle. Finally written down at the 38 by Sean Williams. 14 yards for Jay Graham.
Jay Graham is a high school sprinter. What he has is power along with vision. Right here, he does all of this on his own. He sees and feels the daylight to the outside, and he outruns the interior of the UCLA defense.
He's able to get away from Philip Ward. Now they run it again to the 35. That was the first and 10 carry. Ryan Wilmer in the middle.
Jim, I've been very impressed thus far with the speed of the UCLA defense. Peyton Manning has been on the ground twice. They've ripped the ball loose. They're flying around. They've got real intensity and real speed on the field right now, and they're matching up very well with Tennessee.
Andy Colbert comes into that secondary, number 10 there for the Bruins. Greg Kyler, a third receiver, number 80, set wide to the left for Tennessee. Second down and 8. Manning looking, no one there. That was in the area of Greg Kyler. They have about 7 receivers who will see action tonight, and I'm talking about speed for all 7 of them.
There isn't one wide receiver who runs slower than 4.6 in the 40. Jim, you can recruit a long time and never assemble that much speed on one football team. They have so many weapons that can hurt you because of that speed.
And they brought in another one, 88. Andy McCullough. So 4 receivers set. Shotgun time. 3rd and 8 for Manning and Tennessee. Left side move for the Vols.
Left tackle Trey Teague got a little anxious there.
And that could back them out of field goal range should they throw an incompletion. Well, maybe go the other way.
They're called it on UCLA.
Dead ball foul. Offsides defense.
Look on the right side here.
Right there, but that looks to me like the offensive tackle jumped and the defensive lineman never penetrated the neutral zone. To me, that looked very marginal. I think that's a bad call.
3rd down and 3, so they still need to get to the 28 to pick up the first. 3-0 Bruins on a Merton 50-yard field goal. Showing blitz. Here they come from the outside. Pass complete. Pass down to the 18-yard line. Andy McCullough. 13-yard reception. McCullough comes in. Brings the football to the 18-yard line. 2 tight ends for Tennessee here on first down. John Sartell, number 87. Senior from Memphis, comes into the lineup, so they run it. Graham. Jukes down to the 15. Wilmer again. Wilmer very active.
Well, Brian Wilmer, leading tackler on the team a year ago. He's one of the leading tacklers on the team. He's a good, tough, solid inside linebacker. The thing that Brian Wilmer has given the team this spring is real leadership. He's mature now. He understands playing defense at UCLA. They really like him.
Graham, 5 carries, 21 yards. 2nd down and 7. Checking off, plenty of time on the play clock, 10 seconds on it. They go up the middle. That's Chester Ford, the fullback who carried it only 14 times all last season.
Well, Philip Fulmer wants to run the fullback more this year than he did last year. Last year, the fullback was really a surprise runner. This year, he thinks they're more talented. They can gain more yards. You know, Tennessee, inside the 20-yard line a year ago, was 85%, scoring 35 touchdowns, 12 field goals. They're awfully good in this area of the field.
They're in the red zone, but they face 3rd down and 3 in the UCLA 11. Trying to run for it. Graham has it, sidestepping a defender. McCullough challenged him at the 2 and would not allow him to find the goal line.
If you want to know why people line up in the I formation, take a look at the fullback, Chester Ford, leading Jay Graham. He gets a great block on the linebacker, and then Jay Graham, the power runner for Tennessee, uses all that strength to fall forward. He's a 400-pound bench presser, very strong physical runner.
Everyone in tight. 1st and goal. Tennessee trailing 3-0. Down to the 1. Graham. Williams. Ruckman in on the play. There's that high efficiency, Coach, you mentioned.
But, you know, last week against UNLV, they had a tough time getting the ball into the end zone from the 5-yard line on. Phil Fulmer said he was going to work on it this past week in practice. He wasn't going to be stymied this week against UCLA.
We'll see. 9th play of the drive coming up. 2nd and goal. Touchdown. Touchdown, Tennessee. Manning on a sneak for a touchdown for the 2nd straight week. Jeff Hall will handle the placement chores. Sophomore from Winchester, Tennessee, the hometown of head coach Philip Fulmer. Price on the hold. Hall drills it. So Tennessee takes advantage of the Hicks fumble. Drives 52 yards to take the lead. Jim Nance, Terry Donahue, Michelle Tafoya. Gorgeous night. Knoxville, Tennessee. 1st quarter. And the Vols lead 7-3. Aerial shots being provided by the Bud 1 airship, which travels 11 months of the year, appearing in sporting events across the country. Hogue the kick to the 2 freshman returners, Brown and Rock.
It was impressive how Tennessee responded to UCLA's initial field goal, taking that ball off the turnover.
Angled kick. A beauty. A touchback. Bruins will take it at the 20.
You know, Jim, we made a big to-do at the start of the telecast about the Tennessee offensive line. They're the key to a national championship and conference championship. Watch the surge and watch Peyton Manning. They blow the UCLA line back into that end zone. That's an excellent job by that young offensive line of the Volunteers.
Tennessee has made some changes on the defensive front. They roll the defensive linemen, get a lot of players into the game. The eye of the Bruins. Hicks stopped by Hines for a yard loss. That's the combo that led to a turnover last time. Hicks fumbling, Hines recovering, Tennessee driving for the touchdown.
In visiting with Bob Toledo prior to the game, I asked Bob his biggest concern going into the contest. He said the speed of Tennessee's defense. He's really concerned that they're so fast defensively that he's going to have to use a lot of counter plays, a lot of things to take advantage of their flow.
2nd and 11. Billy Ratliff, the 40 in on the defensive line for Tennessee. Ooh, that was shut down, and McNown had to eat it all the way back inside of the 10. Al Wilson blitzing. Also Ratliff.
Well, Al Wilson and Billy Billy Ratliff are on the blitz here. McNown really doesn't have a chance to throw that screen play. Made a smart play, didn't throw it into coverage, just ate the ball. What you kind of do, you live to fight another day. You just take your lumps, but don't cause a turnover in this area of the field. Cade McNown did a good job.
Billy Barron also credit for the sack on that one. 3rd and long, dangerous territory here. 22 for the first. No flag. McNown, good time. He'll scramble out of there. Gets away from Wilson, but Hines meets him with 2 others, and he's about 6 yards shy of the first down. Leonard Little chasing also. A run of 16, but the Bruins will punt. McNown, a lefty, and sometimes coming out of that pocket looking like another one out in California, Steve Young.
Well, you know, Cade McNown rushed for 300 yards last year. He's got good legs underneath him. He can save a play just like he did there. Although they didn't convert the first down, he got yardage for the punter, Chris Saylor.
Saylor, the sophomore. He had 7 kicks last year, or 12 kicks last year, over 50 yards. There, the return man. He won't touch it. And a good kick by Saylor. Comes to rest at the 30. 46-yard punt. Tennessee leads 7-3 in the first.
Back at Neyland Stadium, where Tennessee is on top 7-3, you know, a lot of the strength and especially the speed we're seeing demonstrated on this field here tonight can be largely attributed to the strength and conditioning coaches of these 2 teams. Now, Bob Toledo brought in a guy named Kevin Yoxel, who was previously at the University of Minnesota, and the players love this guy. They tell me he puts on bulk without taking away from their speed. I talked to Yoxel about that yesterday, telling him, your players love you. They think you're the best in the nation. And he modestly said, hey, not me. It's the guy on the other side of the field who's one of my Aristotles of strength and conditioning, and that's Tennessee's John Stuckey, who he thinks is the best. Jim?
Well, here's Yoxel's list. Stuckey, Epley from Nebraska, Miller, and Parker. He says they're the best. Yoxel's difference for UCLA this year?
The rave reviews out of Westwood about Yoxel. All of the players are talking about how much he's helped the football program.
Ram 3-yard run. That should be an infraction against Teague.
Looked like the left guard Robinson might jump. No, it was Teague. It was left tackle Trey Teague.
Dead ball foul. False start to the offensive line. 5-yard penalty.
I think it's 2nd and 12. 3:19 to go in the first quarter. Outside chance they'll set the all-time attendance record for a football game tonight, but almost a certainty that in 2 weeks when Florida comes into town, there'll be records for crowd size. Lane is the fullback. 2nd and 12. Ball tipped at the line.
One of the things the UCLA defense wanted to establish coming into tonight's game, they wanted to make sure Peyton Manning's rhythm was disrupted. That didn't mean they have to sack him every down, but if they can get some tip balls, if they can get a few sacks, knock him on the ground, they can get him off his rhythm. He's a player that once he gets in the groove, he can cut you up if you're not careful.
That was Darren Klein getting a paw on it, junior from Davis, California, deflecting the pass. 3rd and 12. Tennessee's 2 possessions, a fumble recovered by the Bruins, and a touchdown drive. Manning all kinds of time. Pass incomplete. One-on-one coverage provided by Sean Williams. Nash was the target.
Well, Sean Williams is one of the best defensive backs that UCLA has. This ball just got away from Peyton Manning. It's a little bit high. It just got off his fingertips a little bit. Nash leaped up. He just couldn't come down with that. It wasn't a real good pass. Uncharacteristic of Peyton Manning. Generally, he's right where he needs to be with the ball.
Paul Guidry, 5th in the nation last year. Punt returns. Takes the kick from Larry Benyon at the 25. Waiting for an opening. Never never materializes. Finally hammered by Peebles at the 31. Antron Peebles, the sophomore from Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Right here you see Brian Peebles, and he'll come in here and really finish Guidry off, really punishes him right there with a great tackle. Perfect head position, body position, really blows him up.
48-yard punt, 7-yard return. UCLA starts this drive from its own 31, trailing 7-3, first quarter. Down up the middle with Hicks for 4. Skip Hicks taking the place at tailback of the departed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, first rounder, who's been so impressive for the Miami Dolphins already. Hicks stayed around in Los Angeles this summer, working with the strength coach we just mentioned, Yuxall.
He had a great offseason. He's had a tremendous fall camp. The coaches are very confident that Skip Hicks can really contribute to this football team.
Here he goes, 2nd and 7, dashing for the first. He's going to be close at the 40. He had those 5:30 a.m. workouts all summer long. Took one break, went out for a week to the Dolphins camp just to hang out with Kareem.
Well, he can learn from Kareem. Kareem had the heart of a giant. He played hard every week. He practiced like a champion. You really need Skip Hicks to stay in the football game. And right here, I think he's fatigued. He's coming out of the game. I hope he's not hurt, because UCLA needs him in this football game.
Well, they face 3rd and short. Number 6, Darrell Price, a freshman from Somar, California.
He's an impressive back himself, Darrell Price. Very impressive in fall camp.
McNown keeps it, and I believe he's got it. Out to the 42, yes, it'll be a first down for the Bruins. 1:14 remaining in the first quarter. So they move the chains. Price will stay in the game. Hicks gets a blow on the sideline. A little groggy earlier, too, when he fumbled the football.
Dr. Jim Puffer, the team physician, there talking to him.
Interesting to see the freshman carry the football. Number 6. Not this time, though. Pressure. Wilson, he gets away from him. McNown going long. Bruin down there. They're going to call interference unfair. McElroy was the intended receiver. One-on-one coverage. McElroy, some kind of deep threat, and here they got the interference call, Coach.
Well, Jim McElroy is one of the fastest guys on the UCLA football team. He's a natural deep ball runner. He outruns Terry Fair. Obvious interference right there on Terry Fair.
We have defensive pass interference, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, and an automatic first down.
So they step off 15, bring the football into Tennessee territory at the 43. Terry Fair, he ran back a fumble last week for a touchdown and almost returned a punt for another score.
You know, I like the college rule on pass interference. You don't get all that 45 yards of pass interference like they do in pro football. I think it's a real fair call in college football, because you just get the 15 yards and first down.
Leonard Little has come out of that defensive front for the Volunteers. Here's Price, the freshman. His first carry, loses about 4. Are they going to stay to football? They've whistled it down. Bill Duff had scooped it up, and he was looking for the end zone. Nick Jester got to him first. Parker was there also for a blow. Let's get a report on Hicks from Michelle. What's the word?
Well, Jim, the team trainers tell me that it was really the first play of the game where Skip Hicks got knocked a little bit woozy. He's just feeling the after effects of that. He's sitting on the bench, as you know, and he's shaking it off a little bit. He's breathing a little bit heavy, but other than that, they're not sure if he'll be back in the game. We'll get an update on that as a few minutes pass by. Jim?
15 seconds first quarter, 2nd and 14. McNown got it away to Farmer. Good open field tackle by Torrey Noel. That'll be the final play of the first quarter. Hal Wilson was in on the quarterback in a hurry. That's the end of the first quarter, and a good one. Tennessee 7, UCLA 3. And we'll return to Neyland Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. We start the second quarter. Hicks still collecting himself. We hear from Michelle he will return. That's the word from the Bruin bench. 3rd and 11 from the Tennessee 44. Ryan Rock has come in to the backfield for the Bruins, a freshman. McNown out of the pocket, hits his target. McElroy, first down, 29-yard line. Gain of 15. Terry Fair on the hit. McElroy last year averaged 21 yards a catch on 19 receptions. Had a big 59-yard grab against USC and also threw a touchdown in that game.
Well, you got to think that UCLA likes the matchup of McElroy against Terry Fair. They went after him deep, and now they just hit a big curl right in front of him.
First down from the 29. Double tight end. Jamal Clark has come in on the left side, running the option, the pitch to the freshman Rock, who falls on it at the 45. So they try the option for the first time, and it backfired. Ryan Rock says, hey, you're killing my stats. That's my first carry.
Well, the great Tennessee defensive end, number 1, Leonard Little, comes down and really put a hit on Cade McNown, the quarterback. The pressure off the corner was just too much for the quarterback to handle, so the pitch went astray. Tennessee says that Little runs a 4.4 40. I've been coaching 30 years, Jim. Never saw a defensive lineman in my life run 4.4.
Second down at 25. A reverse, back to the quarterback, who gets it away just in time, and that's well protected back there by Parker and company. Rodney Lee pitched it back to McNown, but quarterback pressure applied by Billy Ratliff.
Well, one of the things that Bob Toledo likes to do is run trick plays. He told me before the game he was definitely going to call them. Right there, Leonard Little puts an unbelievable hit on Cade McNown. Cade McNown is a tough player, but you don't want to get your quarterback hit like that.
Ratliff had him by the ankles, and Little took a good shot at him up high. So 3rd and 25. It was a clean shot. Long distance situation, and McNown only gains a yard. Ron Green grabbed him. 4th and long for the Bruins, who will punt.
An impressive series by the Tennessee defense. Once UCLA got down to about the 30-yard line, Tennessee put their ears back, put all that team defensive speed on them, particularly with Leonard Little.
Chris Saylor. First punt traveled 46 yards. Terry Fair back there for Tennessee, standing at the 10-yard line. Saylor took a little off of it. Fair raises the arm, makes the catch at the 16. 7-3 Volunteers. Jim Nance with Terry Donahue, Michelle Tafoya, Neyland Stadium, Knoxville, Tennessee. Volunteers lead 7-3, taking over at their own 16. 3-receiver set with Kyler into the game. Manning on the rollout. There's Kyler at the 20, 25, first down, 28-yard line. Abdul McCullough on the tackle after a gain of 12. Tennessee, impressive stuff in the 90s. The winningest teams in this decade, Florida State, win percentage just ahead of Nebraska. Do you see a commonality here with all these teams, Coach?
Jim, every one of those football teams have speed all over their units. They all go out and they think speed first, not size, but speed first.
Got it here, Tennessee, that's for sure. First down, Graham, unable to break free that time. Travis Kershke, senior from Yorba Linda, California, tackles him for a loss.
Jay Graham's got plenty of speed. Two-time 100-meter champion. Runner-up Travis Kershke, best defensive lineman for UCLA, just came off, made a nice play.
2nd and 13. Play to Nash, looking for room, cuts back to the middle and finds it. To the outside, Nash to the 50. Inside the 30. Finally, Abdul McCullough bumps him out around the 10-yard line. Wazwa Sirwanga had a shot at him at midfield, but he just outraced him. Jake Graham also delivered a key block.
One of the things that Tennessee's offensive coordinator, David Cutlet, wanted to do was keep the UCLA defense off balance with screen passes. This is a little screen pass to Marcus Nash, but he is one of the fastest players in the Southeastern Conference. You see him here, turn on the speed down the sideline. This guy can fly.
69 yards to the Bruins 6. Tight ends run successfully in this formation, but they'll play action, take it, pass into the flat, touchdown, touchdown Tennessee. Eric Lane out of the backfield. Set up by the 69-yard pass play to Nash.
Tennessee has an awful lot of weapons offensively. This is just a little bootleg pass. Peyton Manning lays an easy throw in there to Eric Lane. Had the UCLA defense moving in one direction. They counter with that little bootleg pass. Hard to defend on the goal line. Great play by Tennessee.
14-3. Tennessee, 11:31 to go, second quarter. Marcus Nash having a huge first half. His 69-yard catch and dash set up the touchdown for Tennessee. Caught 3 passes for 107 yards. That gives him a new career high for receiving yardage in a game, eclipsing the mark he set last week.
How about Peyton Manning? 7 for 11, 133 yards and a touchdown.
Bruins going up the middle. Ryan Rock only to the 20. Mickey Allen with the hit.
One of the things the Tennessee coaches have wanted to do is get the fullback more involved in the offense. Watch Eric Lane here. He'll slip out of the backfield. Little play action fake by Peyton Manning. Nice, soft, easy pass for him. Touchdown Volunteers.
UCLA will break huddle with 2 tight ends, and Hicks remains out of the game. Freshman Darrell Price is the tailback. Reed goes in motion. Price breaks the ankle tackle and brought down by Fair after a 4-yard run.
Darrell Price is an interesting story. He was recruited out of Southern California, initially signed with Ohio State, went and sent his fax. He faxed his letter of intent to Ohio State. Ohio State got it somewhere in the transmission. It was messed up. Ohio State called Price, told him he had to redo it. He sat around, changed his mind, decided to go to UCLA. Now he's a Bruin.
So much for fax on demand. So the Bruins have him. They'll try him again. Oh, look at that hit. He breaks away from it, though, before wrestling down Craig King. Wrestled down by Craig King. So Price in for Hicks. Let's get another update on the sideline from Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Jim. Well, I spoke with both Skip Hicks and his father. Skip tells me he's definitely hearing bells ring, but he wants to go back in. His father disagrees. He says Skip doesn't seem himself. He shouldn't go back in. He thinks Skip is trying to prove something because of his reputation as being injured so often. And right now, the UCLA trainers aren't so eager to put him back either. They'll check him in a few more minutes, Jim.
It's 3rd and 8. Now they've taken Price out, and they've brought Ryan Rock into the game, into the backfield. 3 receivers for the Bruins. Down, looking for time. Breaks away. Dumps it at the last minute. Good improvising there by the quarterback. Picks up the, well, it's going to be close. Pin on the spot. Derek Ayers was his safety valve. Did he step out of bounds? He was awful close back around the 22. I'm going to say he rushed out to the 30.
One of the things you like about McNown is he can escape the rush. He's a fiery, competitive quarterback. He never gives up on a play. Does an outstanding job here just dumping the ball to Derek Ayers. Real close. Whether or not Derek stepped out of bounds, you really couldn't see from this angle. It's going to be close on this measurement too, Jim.
We need to borrow the Mac camera out there at the open.
They'd have it, wouldn't they?
It sure looked like it may have touched at about the 28. Stretch out the chains. First down for UCLA.
Big play by Cade McNown.
There was nothing there. Derek Ayers, who caught the pass, also not 100%. The gimpy ankle has slowed his practice going into this first game.
Missed a great deal of the preseason practice, and Derek Ayers is an explosive player. He used to be a tailback. He's an excellent receiver. He can help the Bruins when he's in the lineup.
Larkin is a second tight end. Rock the single back. Here's the option play that worked out for a 15-yard loss the first time. McNown keeps it. And I'll tell you, Parker's really put on a couple of good licks here in the first half.
Jason Parker returned to the team after a year's absence. He was the athlete that actually made Torrey Knoll, the free safety a year ago, move to strong safety. Jason Parker is a big-time free safety in that Tennessee defense, and you could see on that last play, he really met Cade McNown with a punishing tackle.
Second down and 5. McNown lost his footing for a second. Now has a man open midfield. First down. That's Greed, the tight end, sophomore from San Jose. Gain of 17.
This is a play-action pass by Cade McNown, and Mike Grieve, the sophomore tight end, has excellent hands. He's really improved the position at UCLA. You can see the hand position there on the ball. Tucks it away, takes a good hit. Positive play for UCLA.
The Bruins have moved back into Tennessee territory, only getting a field goal so far on their first possession. A 50-yarder it was by Merton. McElroy. That side was just packed with volunteers and a flag thrown in. Bill Duff on the hit. Penalty against UCLA. Terry, they've had it now. UCLA 4 times in the Tennessee territory, and just become unraveled at that point. A turnover, a botched option play another time, and this penalty will drop it back to their own side of the field. Holding call it's going to be.
And the reverse pass, it didn't work. You know, they've kind of disrupted
We have
themselves.
an illegal block in the back against the offense during the run. Penalty is 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat the down.
Get the down over. But it's at the Bruins 39. UCLA was 7-5 last year, with wins against Miami, BYU, Arizona, and USC for the 5th straight year. First down at 22. Open in the middle. Rock. Ryan Rock with some room. Terry, the Bruins have had tough assignments in season openers in recent years. Last year, UCLA beat Miami, ranked 12th, 31-8. And then the Volunteers went down out of the Rose Bowl, 25-23, 94. And a BYU team that was ranked in 91 in week 1.
Well, one of the things UCLA likes to do is play a real tough non-conference schedule. Gets them ready for the Pac-10 race.
Here's some more trick plays. Nothing develops, though. McElroy down at the 45 of Tennessee. It'll set up 3rd and about 6. This UCLA team goes home next week for a game against Northeast Louisiana, then back on the road to play in Ann Arbor against Michigan. So 3 games and the 3 biggest stadiums in college football they'll play before. Neyland, the largest, the Rose Bowl next week at home, and then Michigan Stadium, the 2nd largest, coming up on the 21st.
Hard to go into Neyland Stadium here at Tennessee and then back to Michigan. Those are tough places to play. Big crowds, big games. That's what you play college football though for.
And a big play here, Coach. 3rd and 7. Pass caught by Lee. Does a good job of breaking out. Near the first down. They'll spot it a yard shy at the 40. Leonard Little actually missed him this time, and Lee got near the first down.
Well, it's a little underneath route by Rodney Lee. Rodney Lee's a great success story at UCLA. Was a walk-on, has earned a scholarship. He breaks a tackle right there by Leonard Little. Now he's got to make that first down. He can't go out of bounds with that ball. He's got to punish that defensive back and make that first down.
They're going for it, Coach. 4th and less than a yard.
This is exciting, Tim. Here we go.
6:09 to go, 2nd quarter, trailing 14-3. With his cadence, he tried to get the Vols to jump. McNown with 4 on the down clock. Now they'll run it. First down, Rock down to the 31-yard line. 9 yards on 4th and a yard. And Rock with a couple of big plays on this drive.
The play that UCLA has hurt the Tennessee defense with is the off-tackle play. Here, the left guard, Chad Sauter, pulls. They are putting a pressure point on the Tennessee defense right off tackle. Every successful run they've had thus far has been off tackle. They'll come back to it before the night is over.
Rock with 25 yards on his last 2 carries. First down, Bruins. And whistle. Nullify the play. They're going back to Rock.
Ryan Rock has been the most impressive back thus far for UCLA. When you look at his yards per carry, the way he's hitting the hole, Skip Hicks was very impressive early.
We have a dead ball foul. Delay a game against the offense. 5-yard penalty.
But Ryan Rock has done a tremendous job thus far. He was a high school quarterback, played tailback, wide receiver, was everything out in the San Bernardino County. His brother is a defensive back on this team as well.
That's Aaron Rock, who played a couple of years in the San Diego Padre organization.
He sure did.
So back up the Bruins 5. 1st and 15. Play action fake to Rock. McNown unloads it. He has McElroy at the 15-yard line. Another Bruin first. 21 yards. Raymond Austin on the coverage.
Jim McElroy up at the top of the screen, number 85, is hard to cover one-on-one because of his great speed. He threatens him deep with a little post corner move, gets back to the outside. Ray Austin on the tackle. But Jim McElroy can flat scare you when you're out there on an island as a defensive back all alone with him.
Out of LA, he had a twisted back in practice and had missed some of the workouts, but you wouldn't know it tonight. First down. Drop. Ball. Squirts free. Picked up by Tennessee and knocked out of bounds by Overhauser. Recovered by Raymond Austin. The freshman coughs it up, ending another UCLA threat. Hines in there helped strip the ball free. The Bruins have been close, but they've only gotten a field goal as Tennessee leads 14-3. All right, Patrick. We look forward to hearing from you. Craig at halftime. Second turnover for the Bruins. Fumbling twice in Tennessee territory. Volunteers at their own 15. Graham for 3. At ball. Kershke on the tackle. Rode him down. Inside of 5 minutes to go here in the first half. Some were concerned here in the Volunteer State that their team may look a little ahead. Such a decisive favorite over UCLA at that Florida game that is going to be coming up next for Tennessee on the 21st of September. Second down. Graham, good piece of running here. First down at the 33.
This is going to be a counterplay to Jay Graham. You're going to see the left guard, Robert Poole, and the right guard, Robert Poole, and Jarvis Rito, the right tackle, lead the way for him. If you have to describe Jay Graham, it's his power that's impressive. He's a strong, physical player, 222 pounds. They say 206 on that. He's 222 pounds. I saw him before practice yesterday. He is a real man.
Mark Levine replaces him. No yardage on that play. Levine ran for 2 touchdowns last week. What about that thought about Tennessee perhaps looking ahead? That was some of the scuttlebutt this week.
Well, you know, I think the psychology of the game was certainly in UCLA's favor. Coming in here, a heavy underdog. Tennessee last week really not having a game with UNLV. They've got Florida on the horizon. The Tennessee people are absolutely obsessed with beating Florida. They feel that that's not only the conference championship game, but the national championship game. It's hard to keep your attention with that on your mind.
Second down and 10. Make the pitch. Manning in trouble. Gets it away in time. Levine the intended target. McCullough on the coverage. We saw Phil Fulmer. He said, I talked to my team about 11 opportunities this regular season to prove you are something special. And it took me about 1 minute to convince these kids not to look past UCLA. There's not that many opportunities when you put it that way.
No, you know, you get 11 shots. You got to take one of them each at a time, and you just have to live through that as a coach. When you've got a highly publicized team like Tennessee does, you just live with that pressure every week. But that's what you like. You like to be picked like that.
4 receivers in the game. Third down and long for the Volunteers. Manning intercepted by McCullough. McCullough down the sidelines. He has open room and he will score. UCLA comes right back with the return by Abdul McCullough. "51-yard run back." Manning took a hit right around the belt when he released it, and it certainly affected the velocity on this pass.
Well, Peyton Manning gets penetration right here. They tackle him. Abdul McCullough, the strong safety, converted from linebacker last year. Abdul McCullough led the team in tackles last year. This year he's playing the strong safety position, his favorite position on the team. He responds with a huge interception for UCLA.
Burton adds the extra point. A flag is down. Weldon Ford was the defender who was in on Manning.
And really caused the interception to occur. Weldon Ford hit Manning in the ankle right when he was throwing, and in the stomach, and he knocked him off his rhythm, and the ball got loose. You know, Jim, it's Peyton Manning last year threw 4 interceptions. This year he's already had 2 in the 2 games that we've seen.
Yeah, 2 in 6 quarters.
Defense lined up in the neutral zone. The penalty is declined. Kick is good.
So with 2:55 to go in the half, it's suddenly Tennessee 14, UCLA 10. The Bruins' first interception return for a touchdown since 2 years ago when Abdul McCullough ran one 98 yards for a score against Arizona State.
He sure did. But the guy who causes this is the nose guard, number 93, with a great individual effort. Weldon Ford right there. The ball got away from Peyton Manning. Abdul McCullough was the guy on the spot, and he can run. He's fast, and he can put the ball in the end zone. He's done it before. He did it again.
How about Dan Juan McGee also clearing out that sideline to make sure the defense got 6. McCullough, he said, when I came here as a freshman, I was full of hot air. Talk, talk, talk. But he told us yesterday during the walkthrough he relishes this chance to come in before over 100,000 people and be the underdog.
Well, UCLA is used to big games. They've had a lot of big games in their past history. there's a lot of players on the UCLA football team that played against Tennessee out in the Rose Bowl a couple years ago when they defeated Tennessee. They came in here, they weren't intimidated. They're playing well tonight, but so is Tennessee. We've got an excellent ball game on our hands, 14-10.
Levine is the single returner at the 2-yard line. Here's the kickoff specialist, Greg Antrusik for UCLA. Levine will get a chance to run it back from the 6 to the 20. Open field. Cobb's over there chasing after him. So is the kicker. But Cobbs finally catches up with him at the UCLA 47. 48-yard return.
The tradition of the kicking game at Tennessee goes all the way back to 1926 when General Bob Nalen was the football coach here. It's the very first thing that Tennessee practices every single day when they take the field. This is an outstanding kickoff return by Tennessee.
Bill Fulmer told us has been passed down through the years. The strategy of Bob Nalen, maybe the first to recognize the importance of the kicking game. Tennessee fans unhappy with that play into the line. Graham getting the carry as he returns to the backfield. 2:30 to go before halftime. Manning last year threw only 4 interceptions. It was the lowest interception percentage in SEC history and tied for the best all-time Division I. But this season he's thrown 2. One last week on a goal line situation against UNLV. And this one tonight run back for a touchdown by McCullough. 2nd and 9. 3 receivers in there. Manning has one across the middle. It's Nash again. Inside the 25 and out of bounds at the 17. Zerwanga bumped him out. But Tennessee putting together a nice little flurry here with the kick return by Levine and Nash on the receiving end of Manning.
Well, Tennessee caught UCLA in man-to-man coverage. It was an underneath drag route by Marcus Nash, and he has had the explosion tonight. We came into the game thinking that Joey Kent, number 11 for Tennessee, was going to be the star, but thus far in the first half, it's not been Kent, it's been Marcus Nash. Shows the flexibility of the Tennessee offensive receivers.
Kent hasn't even caught a pass. Here's Graham. About 5. Javelin Guidry over on the short side of the field. Joey Kent needing 4 catches tonight to become the all-time receiver in Tennessee history. He scored last week on a 63-yard touchdown. He's caught more touchdowns than anyone in Volunteer history, but so far no receptions tonight, while Nash has 136 yards worth on 4 receptions.
You know, we talked before the game that Kent might break it in the first quarter the way he was going. You know, he had such a big career and a big week last week.
2nd and 5. Up the middle, Graham near the first. Near the first at the 9-yard line. Clock running with 1:40 to go before halftime. Pat O'Brien and Craig James in our studios in Manhattan. Scores and highlights. With a full day of action, college football. And a timeout called. Timeout called by Tennessee. We'll be right back. 3rd and less than a yard. Tennessee at the UCLA 9. They have 2 tight ends into the game. 34 before the intermission. Go with the fullback, and Ford has it. Chester Ford. Yeah, maybe not. Let's see where they spot it. Fulmer looks pretty certain that he has the yardage.
Chester Ford has not carried the ball very often for the Tennessee Volunteers. Generally, in that kind of a situation, you'd expect their best back, Jay Graham, to get the football. First down.
First down, they'll even measure for it. 1st and goal from the 7. Tennessee has 2 timeouts remaining. Ruckman and help to the sideline.
Boy, that's a tragedy. Jeff Ruckman is one of the great young men that I've ever been associated with at UCLA. He's a guy that's had a lot of back problems in his career when he played linebacker and fullback for the Bruins. He moved for the team's sake to nose guard this year and had a fabulous fall practice, and to see him get hurt, that's upsetting. I hope he's not too badly hurt and gets back into this football game.
First and goal, Tennessee. Tyler, the lone receiver, bottom of your screen. Graham up the middle. Graham stopped by Sean Williams. Fumble. Ball is free on the back end of it. I think they may have ruled him down. No indication yet, but they're going to spot it now. There they go. They're going to put it down at the 2. Did the ball squirt loose before he was down?
Let's take a look. Jay Graham is a power runner. Great kickout block by Chester Ford. Can't really tell from this angle.
Looks like he has a knee down. That's all it takes. Second and goal from the 2. 25 seconds. Graham over the top. Stopped. Stopped short. Clock still running. Tennessee now runs in to take the timeout with 18 seconds on the clock. Brian Wilmer wouldn't let him break the plane, so it'll be third and goal from the 1.
Jay Graham going over the top here. This is a great effort by him to try to get that ball in the end zone. Outstanding defense, though, by the UCLA Bruins, keeping him short.
Third and goal from the 1. And Tennessee has 1 timeout remaining, which certainly helps them with their play calling right here.
Makes it a lot easier, Jim. You know, Phil Fulmer, he talked to us a lot about that offensive line. He talked about their ability to get better every week. They were talented. They needed to improve, however. He's taken a personal interest in that line. This is a situation where he wants those linemen, if he calls a running play, to get that ball into the end zone for him. This is how you build your team for the future. You talk to them, you get them cranked up, you give the ball to a big back like Jay Graham, and you try to score the touchdown. But then you're over there with the best quarterback that he ever had, Peyton Manning, and you wonder whether or not you ought to be throwing the ball down here, particularly with 18 seconds left.
Tennessee lost 3 offensive linemen, made NFL rosters this year. Mark Bradley, the new line coach, taking over for Steve Marshall, who's on the UCLA staff. 2 tight ends, Moore and Sartell. Chester Ford, Eric, Lane, Jay Graham. They'll have 3 in the backfield. We'll send back Lane on a wing to the left. Third and goal from the 1. Manning trying to sneak in again. He's done it once. Make it twice. Touchdown, Tennessee. Manning with his second touchdown from a yard out.
Philip Fulmer has got to be happy with the surge of the offensive line once again, punching that ball into the end zone for Peyton Manning.
Scoring with only 15 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Jeff Hall, the extra point. So after giving up the touchdown on the interception, Manning drives the Volunteers back. They were aided by the big kick return by Levine of 48 yards. The pass play to Nash, and then Manning scoring for the second time tonight.
Philip Fulmer talked a lot to us yesterday about the offensive line taking responsibility for the future successes of this team. Right there, he's going to be able to build off that. When this game is over, he's going to be able to take those guys into that room and build on that for the future.
(21-10) Tennessee.
I'd be surprised, Jim, if Tennessee kicks the ball deep in this situation. Generally, with 15 seconds or so on the clock, you'll kick the ball either on the ground or some form of a pooch kick to try and break the rhythm of the return team.
2 weeks from now, we'll return to the college football landscape. In fact, right here, Florida and Tennessee. One of the big games of 1996. Werfel, who threw for 6 touchdowns last year against the Volunteers. Werfel and Manning, Florida, Tennessee. very good chance the winner of that game could face Nebraska January the 2nd for the national championship.
Well, the people here can't wait. They'll be camping out tomorrow, Jim. Those guys, they'll all be out here with their orange and white, and they'll have their campers and their boats. And I went to the Touchdown Club, the Knoxville Touchdown Club on Friday, and really they didn't want to talk about UCLA. They wanted to talk about Florida.
Yeah, that could be dangerous sometimes, but hasn't affected the volunteer players. Here's the short kick. And returned out to the 30 by Caldwell. And 9 seconds remaining. The best seat in the house, some say, is inside the Bud 1 airship flying overhead to bring us these beautiful shots on a clear night in Knoxville, Tennessee. UCLA on offense has reached Tennessee territory 4 times tonight, and the results: 1 field goal, 2 fumbles, and a punt.
They've self-destructed offensively once they've gotten into the scoring zone. They've moved the ball well.
We'll close out the first half. By the way, Skip Hicks was in on that play from scrimmage, finally returning for the Bruins after getting dazed early in this contest. Toledo, his first game as the head coach at UCLA, trailing 21-10 at halftime. Michelle Tafoya, take it away. All right, we'll get back to Michelle a little bit later. That's the end of the first half. Tennessee 21, UCLA 10. Coming up, college football today. Pat O'Brien, Craig James, after this message and a word from your local station. Tennessee with 2 touchdown dives by Peyton Manning. Throw for another touchdown to Eric Lane, leading 21-10. Volunteers to get the football to start the second half. Levine had a big 48-yard kick return to set up the last Tennessee touchdown. Angled kick, Levine for the 6. Back to the middle. More running room. Levine. Good piece of running out to the 33. Coming out of the Bruin locker room, Bob Toledo stopped the visit with our Michelle Tafoya.
With Coach Bob Toledo, and a couple of nice drives there in the first half, but also a couple of turnovers.
Yeah, Michelle, the thing that hurt us were the 2 fumbles. You know, we fumbled and they scored, and then we fumbled on the 15. And, of course, they got the big kickoff return. But we just made some first-game mistakes, and we just got to correct them and keep playing hard. I reminded our team that in '85 we were down by 16, came back and tied them, and went on and played in the Rose Bowl. So we're just going to keep playing hard and let the chips fall where they may.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
In '85, 26-26 tie. Start the second half. Manning goes long. He was looking for Joey Kent, trying to get him started, but Paul Guidry with the coverage right there with him. At 26-26 tie back in '85, UCLA scored 16 points in the last 5 minutes.
I remember that game, Jim. That was nerve-wracking.
And it was pretty neat, though, the way Bob Toledo said we tied him. He wasn't a part of the program back there,
well,
but appreciating the history of the rivalry.
Darn right, and he's the head coach at UCLA now, and he is part of the program, and he is part of the folklore and the tradition of UCLA.
With a no-huddle offense, 2nd and 10, Peerless Price comes into the game. Graham cuts back, brought down by Ward. Graham rushed for 62 yards in the first half. Some of the other numbers worth monitoring. Well, first down's pretty even. Well, what do you make of this?
Well, you know, the halftime statistics are very, very even. The difference in the game thus far has been a big play by Marcus Nash, a 69-yard reception that set up a score, and the kickoff return by Levine that also set up a score right before half. Those have been the differences in the game. Both teams have turned it over twice.
3rd and 9. 4 receiver set for Peyton Manning. Across the middle. Almost picked off. Almost intercepted by Javelin Guidry. Nonetheless, the Bruins forced Tennessee into a punting situation. 3 and out.
With Javelin Guidry on the corner, along with his brother Paul, who plays the other corner, are on an island all night long against these fast Tennessee wide receivers. That time, Javelin makes a great break on the ball against Joey Kent, one of the best receivers in Tennessee history.
Binion punting for only the 2nd time tonight. booming this one. And a fair catch made by Paul Guidry. And he's a little angry that he, in fact, didn't run it back.
You know, I always feel like the opening drive of the second half for both teams is critical. I always felt that it set the tempo for the second half. Tennessee 3 downs and out. Awfully good series by UCLA defensively. Now UCLA has the ball. Tennessee's defense has got to respond in kind.
Volunteers tried to hit him with the big play that went for a touchdown last week to Kemp on the first snap of the second half. Skip Hicks is back into the running back position for UCLA. They play action fake. McNown over to Grebe, and he picks up about 7. Terry Fair on the hit. McNown had good first half numbers. He was 8 out of 10, now 9 out of 11, over 100 yards.
I thought Cade McNown played an excellent first half. He did not have a real productive spring practice or two-a-day preparation for the season. The coaches were extremely concerned coming into the game. Bob Toledo, Al Borges, the offensive coordinator. But when the game starts, Cade McNown is a competitor. He turns it up when the lights go on.
Picks up 6 on that pass play. Leonard and Little lining up across from the Bruins. Second down and 4. This is a busted play, but McNown will make something out of it. First down. Bumped out by King. Chad Overhauser plays on the right side. He's the only returning starter on the offensive line, number 69 for the Bruins.
Well, you can watch him right here at right tackle against Bill Duff, and he just pancakes him right there. Chad Overhauser, the best offensive lineman that UCLA has. He also has to play against Leonard Little, one of the better defensive players that Tennessee has. That time, though, against Bill Duff.
First down and 10. Hicks the single back. Set him up on a screen. Just went for 30 on the first play of the night. But a loss of a yard this time. Al Wilson was manning that side.
Phil Fulmer was talking yesterday about Al Wilson. He said there's no question in his mind this guy is a future star. He's one of the fastest linebackers that Tennessee has ever had. He was a high school tailback, and he believes he'll be one of the real leaders of that defensive football team throughout the season.
Only a sophomore from Jackson, Tennessee. Second down on 11 for UCLA. McNown checking off. Hicks, no gain. Wilson's in on that play, along with Duff and Billy Barron. Hicks with 7 carries for 24 yards, but he set out most of the first half.
He sure did, and when he did, the other UCLA backs, particularly Ryan Rock, came in and did an excellent job. Skip Hicks is back in the lineup trying to fight through the injury bug, the unluckiness that he's had throughout his career. He can help the Bruin attack. He can make them more balanced if he'll create some running room.
3rd and 11. They'll go to the shotgun. Down 21-10 early third quarter. McNown has the target. Danny Farmer, but not the route that would get you the first down. Torrey Noel on the coverage. Craig King was in the backfield on the quarterback.
Danny Farmer comes from a real traditional athletic family. His father, George Farmer, played for UCLA. His uncle, Dave, was an outstanding player at USC. And certainly Danny Farmer has been a contributor tonight. Look at the hit that Cade McNown takes right here. Craig King, the outside linebacker, rushed on the blitz right there.
Saylor to punt. There, will he get a chance to show us his skill as returner? Nope. So a fair catch at the 16, 45-yard boot. Each team with 1 possession. 21-10 Tennessee. Welcome back to Knoxville, Tennessee. And Terry, you've certainly got a taste of this rivalry through the years, including 91, the last time the Bruins played at Neyland Stadium. 2 tight ends in for Tennessee. And Graham. Ooh, what a good defensive play there by that front line, including Ward and Wilmer.
Jim, back in 1991 when we were here, they had artificial surface in Neyland Stadium. The temperature at kickoff was 116 degrees. I've never, ever been in an environment like that with football players. The dog, the mascot of Tennessee, got sick.
Smokey.
Smokey got sick. The medics cared more about Smokey than they did for an old offensive lineman I had by the name of Mike Lynn, who had a broken hip. They were worried about the dog dying. I was worried about the players.
It all happened at the same time?
It did.
Smokey had heat exhaustion, and okay. Here's Graham again. The little room to operate, only netting a yard. Sean Williams on the hit. So they took care of Smokey before they took care of your player.
Yeah, before Mike Lynn got taken care of, the dog got a little attention. But I've never seen an environment quite like that.
Florida, Danny Werfel today, 15 out of 16 passing, 94% school record.
The UCLA defense, which is new this year, is beginning to affect Tennessee. They're having a hard time getting a hold of all the pressure. There's 9 potential blitzers in this defense with the 2 corners out on the islands.
3rd and 14. This could be a big stop for the Bruins, but Manning has a target. Moore, the tight end, fumbles the football, recovered by the Bruins. Darren Klein falls on it. His second big play of the night. He batted down a pass in the first half. 3rd Tennessee turnover. A team that committed only 10 all last year. So the reception made by Dustin Moore, the sophomore.
Dustin Moore makes a good reception here, as you said, Jim, but he's really stripped by Abdul McCullough, who had a big play in the first half with the interception for the touchdown. Comes back here with the strip, and Darren Klein makes the recovery. Huge turnover for UCLA.
From the 25 of Tennessee. You see why McCullough was the UCLA Defensive Player of the Year in '95. Hicks for about 4. Howell Wilson on the tackle. UCLA possessions in the first half, discounting the 1 snap with 9 seconds to go before intermission. They drove to the Tennessee 33, kicked the field goal. Tennessee 48, turned it over. Another time only to their own 24 before they punted. Tennessee 43 before they were backed up, and Tennessee 12. They fumbled the second time.
But even though you don't score, you gain confidence because you've moved the football. That helps players psychologically.
Second, we'll call it 7. Hicks, only a yard. Billy Ratliff held on to him. Jonathan Brown also had hold. Jonathan Brown's first game as a true freshman out at UCLA. He had a sack and 4 tackles at the Rose Bowl. Junior from Tulsa. His comrades face a big 3rd situation here. 3rd and a long 5. Now got away from the blitzer. Now buying time, throwing, completing. Grebe has the first.
Is that a play by McNown?
He's done that a couple of times. Worked in the first half to Ayers, and again at the last moment. This time it was Grebe.
One of the attributes you have to like about Cade McNown is the fact that he ad-libs in the pocket. Here he's under tremendous pressure, looks like he's going to scramble, then finds Mike Grebe for the first down. It's an athlete making a play, getting his team off the hook.
So the first UCLA lefty quarterback since Ernie Case in 1945 has the Bruins at the 14-yard line. Hicks inside the 10, down at the 9.
You know, Skip Hicks, as he plays more and more here in the second half, he'll start to get his rhythm back. When he got his head rung and got his bell rung a little bit, you get kind of woozy. It shakes you up a little bit. But the more he plays here and the more in the second half, the more confidence he'll gain, the harder he'll start to run, the faster he'll hit those holes.
Torrey Noel, strong safety and a good one for Tennessee, is down, and we'll be right back. Torrey Noel has been taken to the sideline where he's getting treatment. UCLA 2nd down and 5 from the Tennessee 9. Caden McNown has completed his last 8 passes. He has 3 receivers in the game. Now sends Hicks out of the backfield. McNown across the middle. Farmer was the intended target. Corey Gaines right into the game to replace Torrey Noel, and he makes the play.
You talk about responding to the pressure when you're called upon by the coaching staff. Here, its very first play in the game, Corey Gaines makes an outstanding defensive play against Danny Farmer. The ball was a little bit behind Farmer that time. McNown wasn't quite on the target.
3rd and 5. 6:47 to go, 3rd quarter. 21-10, Tennessee. Good time, now rolling out, in zone and incomplete. Going for Grebe. They'll bring out the field goal team. Try to cut the deficit to 8.
Mike Grebe, the tight end, has been a very effective receiver for UCLA tonight. Here he's just running to the corner. Cade McNown comes away from the scramble and just puts the ball out of his reach. Outstanding effort by Mike Grebe.
This will be a 26-yard attempt. Bjorn Merton, 1 for 1 tonight, made a 50-yarder on the first drive of the night. 26-yard kick. Looking really good. 2-2. 2 for 2. Former All-America place kicker. Solid so far. 21-13, Tennessee. Honorary captain. Should be some event right here on CBS next week. Andrusic's kick. Westmoreland running it back to the 27. Duval Hicks made the tackle, but, well, there's your man Skip Hicks on the phone.
That's right. He's talking to the coaches up there in the booth.
All right, Noel is headed to the locker room, and Michelle, you have a report on that, huh?
Jim, the official word on Torrey Noel is simply that he's suffering leg cramps in his right hamstring. But at this point, a trainer has taken him off to a special training room here, a locker room on the sideline, and they'll be working on him. We'll get the official update on that one a little bit later, Jim.
All right, thank you. It's from the 28, 1st and 10, Tennessee. And there's Joey Kent, first grab of the night. Pounded right away by Paul Guidry.
Jim, this is an important series for Tennessee. They came out in the second half, received the opening second half kickoff, didn't do much with it, really got into kind of a conservative play calling mode, and they need to loosen it up. This defense from UCLA is causing Peyton Manning some problems. He's not quite sure where to go with the ball. UCLA is doing a great job at disguising their coverages.
5, pounding for the tough yards. Chester Ford near the first down.
One of the things that David Cutcliffe, the offensive coordinator of Tennessee, said he was going to put the fullback right in the middle of the UCLA defense and try to get an anchor point right inside on him, and that's exactly what he did on that play.
They move the chains, and Tennessee now showing a no-huddle look.
Well, they're in no huddle, and Peyton Manning is doing a lot of the managing of the offensive team right now, but UCLA is doing an awful lot of disguising defensively.
The zone 38, Tennessee. Quarterback rollout. Manning flips it. Drop. Javelin Guidry on the coverage. Greg Kyler was the target.
Boy, the two Guidry brothers have been busy tonight. They're on islands out there by themselves. And they have both played extremely well tonight. They're doing an excellent job against some real quality receivers from Tennessee. I'm really impressed with both of them.
This man, Paul Guidry, made the hit on Jerry Colquitt, the quarterback for Tennessee, when they played 2 years ago in the opener. 7th play of the game, and Colquitt blew out a knee.
Helped dramatically turn the game in UCLA's favor. Paul Guidry also was the 5th in the NCAA in punt returns last year. He's an explosive player.
By the way, Colquitt now a graduate assistant here on the staff for Tennessee. Blitz. And almost stripped away, and doing a good job of just holding on. Graham at the 30-yard line. Now this Tennessee team is confounded right now. Wilmer coming up the middle.
Well, Brian Wilmer, the middle linebacker right here on the blitz. UCLA can bring 9 different blitzers in this defensive package that Rocky Long has put together for him. It's causing Tennessee some real concern right now.
Junior from Fullerton, California. Dropping him back to a 3rd and 16 situation with 4:45 on the clock, 3rd quarter.
They're coming again.
Manning rolls away from the heat. Nass is open. Led him too much. So Tennessee will bring on the punt team again.
The momentum in this game is starting to move towards UCLA despite the score 21-13. Manning right now is only 2 of 6 in this quarter throwing the ball. The pressure is starting to disrupt his timing. Exactly what UCLA wanted to do coming into the game.
Binion with a good night so far. 2 kicks, 48, 45 yards. Guidry 5th in the nation last year, leading punt returner in the Pac-10. He'll get a chance to run it now. But nothing doing. Flag is down at the line of scrimmage. There's another 45-yard boot by Binion. And there's also a flag back where Guidry caught it. So we have 2 infractions here. Both are going against the Bruins. Well, with things not going Tennessee's way in this half, a good time to pump up the crowd with a little Rocky Top Tennessee. UCLA is going to bring in Ryan Rock, freshman, who looked good in that 2nd quarter, running the football. And they're going to be backed up a bit. An illegal block and an offside call against the Bruins.
We have 2 fouls.
Take the big one.
Against the receiving team, we have offsides at the line of scrimmage. And we have an illegal block in the back on the return. The penalty that is accepted is the illegal block in the back 10 yards from the end of the run and 1st down.
I tell you, it's been pretty comfortable tonight. Temperature in the 70s. Some still needing to be cooled off a bit. From the 15, 2 tight ends. Ramrodded at the 12-yard line. Now Wilson coming in quickly. He's got good speed, good reaction to the snap. Michelle, you got an update on Noel?
I sure do. On Torrey Noel, that is a right hamstring that was cramping up. Apparently, he was wearing a supportive sleeve on that hamstring. They took him off to a side training room to remove that sleeve so they could better stretch out his legs. He's up and about and ready to return, Jim.
Yeah, he looks like he's ready to get in there right now. He wants to. 2nd down and 12. Gaines stays in for him. In the meantime, McNown flings it, almost picked off by Fair. They were looking for Rodney Lee. 3:42 remaining, 3rd quarter. Only scoring in this quarter a field goal by Bjorn Merton from 26 yards.
Terry Fair, the defensive back for Tennessee, is an outstanding cover man here on Rodney Lee. Makes a great break on the ball. Had the ball in his hands. It just got away from him.
Fair, a junior. He's been a starter here since his freshman year. Many believe he's their best cover guy.
He's hard to beat one-on-one, although Jim McElroy was picking on him in the 1st half.
He's from Arizona, and his brother, for you basketball fans, might recall his sharpshooting brother for the UConn Huskies, Brian Fair. Number 31, who could light it up from outside. Terrell Price in. 3rd and 12. McNown Pass caught for a first down. Eric Scott, a Northwestern transfer, comes in for only the second time tonight and snares an 18-yard pass. Austin was on the coverage.
What an outstanding throw by Cade McNown and an outstanding route by Eric Scott. His first reception of the night. He runs a little close corner against Ray Austin. He gets him turned inside, catches the ball for the first down.
Hold on, there's a flag. There is a flag, and they're going to back up the Bruins. Flag dropped at the 6-yard line.
Boy, Bob Toledo's not going to like that call.
Holding. Take away the first down, and a perilous situation now for UCLA at the 3-yard line.
Toledo was a lot calmer than I would have been. I promise you that. That's why I retired and came up here. I would have been out there on the stripes.
Melting a little wax in their ears, huh?
Come on.
Let's see how fancy they get in this situation. 3rd and 22 from the 3. Price out to the 6-yard line. Another flag is down. Place was rocking a moment ago. Now near silence.
It's going to be a...
McNown's all pumped up. He thinks it's going to be an automatic first down.
Ball.
Yep.
We have a dead ball, personal foul against the defense, 15 yards, and an automatic first down.
Think about the emotion of the coaches right now. A minute ago, Bob Toledo gets a holding call. He's all the way out there upset. He's down. Now he's up. He's sky high. He just gets an important first down call on a penalty. Phil Fulmer the other way. He's all pumped up a few minutes ago. Now he's upset.
And they can start over. The Bruins from the 20. 2 tight ends. Good fake. Going across the middle and long. McElroy overthrown. Very fair on the coverage.
Good call by Al Borges, the offensive coordinator, going deep, trying to get some air into that Tennessee defense. Early downs, play action pass against Tennessee's defense is an outstanding call.
Borges calling the plays, a kind of a new situation for Toledo. Here's Coach Borges right here. And Toledo, accustomed to being the offensive coordinator, calling the plays, but he hands that responsibility off as he should.
You pass the baton, let somebody else do it.
2nd and 10. After hitting 8 straight, McNown has now missed on his last 4. That didn't work out. That was Price getting it late by design, but Hines makes the hit at the line of scrimmage. 2:35 to go, 3rd quarter. A lot of people thought UCLA couldn't play with Tennessee. They surprised you tonight, the Bruins?
Well, UCLA has a very rich tradition in football against Tennessee. They get pumped up for this game. This is a huge intersectional rivalry for UCLA. They also had the psychological advantage coming into this game because Tennessee won so easily last week.
3rd and 10. McNown, he's going to try to run for it. No, he steps back behind the line of scrimmage, where he is then met head-on by Billy Barron. UCLA will have to punt.
This whole series by the Tennessee defense has been sensational. They thought they had the Bruins backed up. They get penalized. The defense responds, holds UCLA 3 downs, forces the punt. Outstanding defense by Tennessee. Tremendous.
Saylor standing at the 5, Fair back at his own 43.
Tennessee should get good field position following this punt.
1:19 to go in the 3rd quarter. Run back try, Fair. Oh no. Driven back by Akil Davis, who was down there quickly. moved in on the returner. Anthony Cobbs was also in the area. AP top 10. Well, Nebraska, I think, really made a statement today. A lot of people were saying, look at Michigan State a week ago, the way the Spartans opened up with a big win. Nebraska annihilated them.
Jim, when we did the game on January 2nd, Nebraska, Florida, Nebraska was the best football team I had seen in 30 years of coaching.
Wow. Florida wins 62-14. Warfel threw 2 touchdowns, missed on only 1 attempt. Colorado leading Colorado State in the second half. Tennessee running the football with Lane to the 35. Gain of 4. All right. Lane caught a touchdown in the first half here. 21-13, final minute, third quarter.
When this game is over, both coaching staffs and teams are going to look to those turnovers. They're going to say, if we had just not done this or that, those have been the keys to the game thus far, those turnovers.
Second and 6, Kent open. Manning got it to him quickly. Kent with a little high wire act for the first down at the 46, a gain of 11. Second catch of the night. Kent needs 2 more to become the all-time receiver at Tennessee, surpassing Thomas Woods.
When Joey Kent catches a pass, 79 of his 121 receptions have been for first downs.
It's tied now with Tim McGee. One more catch to join Woods. First and 10. Manning. There's Kent again. He's tied the record, and he's moved the Volunteers into UCLA territory at the 39. Javelin Guidry on the tackle, gain of 15.
Joey Kent was silent in the first half, but he's starting to make his presence felt here. He runs a little drag route. Peyton Manning has a nice, easy throw to him right here for the first down.
3 catches in the quarter for 31 yards. McCullough has come into the receiving corps. What could be the last play of the quarter. Quickly in the area of McCullough, and we'll move to the other end. Only an 8-point difference through 3 quarters. The score, Tennessee 21, UCLA 13, and we'll return to Neyland Stadium after this message and a word from your local station. And Terry Donahue, Michelle Tafoya starting the fourth quarter. How about Peyton Manning tonight, Coach?
Well, not a Heisman night. The defense has caused him some problems. He's having a solid, steady night, but certainly not a Heisman Trophy night.
10 and 10, and Graham with no running room. That's been the story in the second half for this runner, who last year had over 1,400 yards, the best rushing season in Tennessee history. He's been battling a recent hip pointer and only got 6 carries in the opener against UNLV.
Graham's got about 55 yards tonight, all of them in the first half. Certainly in the second half, he's had a rough go. And the interesting thing is when Tennessee has a running back go over 100 yards, they are 39-1-2, which is incredible in terms of numbers.
3rd and 11. Drop back. Manning's pass deflected by Wilmer. Broken up by the middle linebacker.
Brian Wilmer's had an excellent night for UCLA. Here he leaps up in the air, tips the ball away, almost causing an interception by the Bruins.
Binion. It's a punt. Guidry at the 10. 4th and 11. Fields a low snap. Pops it high in the air. Guidry steps forward, makes the catch for 17. Well, we showed you the results of the top 5. Here's the next 5. Notre Dame beat Vanderbilt on Thursday. Vanderbilt's last 2 games, a 12-7 loss to Tennessee last year, and a 14-7 hard-fought battle against Notre Dame on Thursday night.
Shows that Rod Dowhauer has Vanderbilt playing better. They can play with anybody in the country if they can play against Tennessee and Notre Dame.
And the one victim in the top 10, Syracuse. one victim so far. UCLA trails by a touchdown on a 2-point conversion. 14:07 remaining. Skip Hicks in the backfield. Hicks running with open room. Hicks starting to glide again. That's near the 27.
You can see Chad Sauter, the left guard. He pulls and leads this off-tackle play to Skip Hicks. They're trying to put pressure in the off-tackle area. That play was successful in the first half. They've come back to it here in the second half. It's been their best running play of the evening.
2nd and 1. Hicks, when he gets just a little room, he really glides. He's smooth.
He looks like he's waiting to break every run for a touchdown.
There he is. First down. Corey Gaines on the hit along with Hines. Wilson. No heat exhaustion tonight for Smokey.
That doggone dog. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I'm not sure that's the real Smokey that I saw in '91. I think that might be an imposter.
People might think this UCLA team is a bunch of imposters playing so tough here. Hats off to them. McNown, does the knee go down? Gets the pass away incomplete. And instead of a sack and a loss of about 9, it's ruled incomplete. Knee was very close to touching the turf, which would have ended the play.
Cade McNown will try to bootleg out here. He trips on the running back's feet right there. Does an amazing job of keeping his balance and getting rid of the ball. And as you pointed out, to avoid the sack in that position really helps the offensive play calling. Now you're 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and 19. You have so much more to choose from.
Missed on his last 5 throws. Still a good percentage for the night. 2nd and 10. McNown working hard for about 3. As Jonathan Brown was riding them down.
McNown's athleticism has got to impress you. He's been under heat all night long. Once again here, he begins his scramble. The guy has a competitive heart. Look at him fight for that extra yardage. He just won't quit on a play.
Only the 2nd true freshman to ever start at quarterback against Southern Cal. Tom Ramsey, who is here tonight, was the other one.
Boy, and he went on to greatness at UCLA. Tom Ramsey.
3rd and 7 with 12-12 remaining. 21-13 Tennessee. McNown's pass almost picked off. Almost intercepted by Ron Green, who was so intent, and rightfully so, on putting the lick on, and he didn't get a chance to grab that football.
Well, again, McNown is under heat. The ball goes in and out of Skip Hicks' hands right there. He's got to make that reception. That ball was a little bit behind him, but Skip Hicks is a good receiving running back. He's got to make that play for the Bruins.
Saylor in to let loose another boot. His 5th punt of the night.
Chris Saylor is a true freshman last year, was 3rd in the Pac-10.
There's a reason why. Fair back to the 15. Up the middle with room. Breaks the first wave to the 40. To the 50. Look out. Terry Fair will break it. Touchdown.
Big plays in football that turn it around. The kicking game is generally, and the turnovers are where it happens. Terry Fair takes this punt all the way. Phil Fulmer starts every practice with the kicking game, works on it as hard as anybody in the country. Here it pays him unbelievable dividends. The momentum of this game turns on that play.
As you said, hearkening back to the days of Bob Nealon, who set the precedent here. Extra point, fly ball, good. Once he got by Grebe, it was 86 yards to the end zone. Tennessee 28, UCLA 13. Terry Fair, 86-yard punt return to give the Volunteers that 15-point lead. Kick to the goal line.
Reaper.
It's Akil Davis when he is tripped up at the 8-yard line. A gamble that didn't deliver.
Bob Toledo wanted to try to get that momentum right back. He came with a trick play to the reverse play to Akil Davis on the kickoff. Akil Davis is the fastest member of UCLA's football team. You'll see him coming from the right of your screen right here. Gets the ball, but Tennessee read it perfectly. Made an outstanding play.
Fred White was there. Not in the game. And that's Ryan Rock for only a yard.
When you talk about punt returns, you tell your punt returner he always has to beat one man. Right here, UCLA has Mike Grebe in the tackling picture, but Terry Fair breaks that tackle, allows him to make that 86-yard kick punt return for the touchdown.
11 minutes to go. 2nd and 10. Down to Farmer, first down, 21-yard line. Gets him out of that hole. Torrey Noel on the hit. He's back in the game.
You know, Jim, this game has been really even except for 3 big plays. You got the reception by Nash. You've got the kickoff return right before the end of the first half by Levine. And then, of course, the big punt return by Terry Fair. You take those 3 plays out of the game, it's a tie ball game.
Hit down sack. Jonathan Brown. UCLA, though, had a big play of its own with Abdul McCullough's interception return.
Absolutely.
For a touchdown. Let's get an update. We headed back to New York. Take it away.
All right, Jim, thank you. Speaking of gambles, Wyoming down 17 in this game. Beats Iowa State in overtime, 41-38.
Pat, Iowa State wins the coin flip. Instead of deferring to find out what Wyoming would do with the ball, they took the football. They go down, miss a field goal, which sets up Wyoming.
41-yard field goal by Corey Weedle as the Cowboys stun the Cyclones in Ames. Back to Jim Nance.
What a game there in overtime. 2nd and 19. Down. Man open. Farmer at the 50. Parker giving chase. Farmer. Touchdown, UCLA. Danny Farmer, the freshman, goes 88 yards with the pass.
Good job, baby.
Jason Parker thought might catch up with him. Farmer tried to take away the angle. Finally just diving across to ensure the 6.
Well, Danny Farmer comes down here. He runs a little stop and go. The free safety, Jason Parker, really bit. Farmer ran an outstanding route. And here, he just outruns the safety right there, Jason Parker. What an effort. What a play by Farmer.
UCLA back in the game. Extra point by Merton. Makes it 28-20 with 9:41 remaining.
Back in Knoxville, Danny Farmer, 88 yards. He's not even in the media guide for UCLA, so what kind of plans do they have for him this year?
Well,
redshirt freshman.
He redshirted last year. He was a member of the national championship volleyball team at UCLA last year. That's the kind of athlete he is.
Thought he might spike it then after he scored a touchdown, but nonetheless, 28-20, and Tennessee will bring it out to the 20. Levine says, no, I'm not going to do it. What happened here on the coverage for the Volunteers?
Well, what happens is Danny Farmer right here is going to run a little hitch and go, but Jason Parker, the safety man, overplays the outside receiver. He should stay in between the two receivers, play him equally well. You'll watch Farmer right here, a little hitch move. Parker bites, Farmer goes down the middle, and Cade McNown throws off the wrong foot, showing his arm strength. And look at Jason Parker try to catch up. Danny Farmer gets it in the end zone.
The 20.
What a momentum shift.
9:41 remaining. You were just talking about big plays. Well, there's a second one of the night for the Bruins. And another big play defensively. Weldon Ford dropping Graham for a loss. Tennessee's only points in this half coming on the 86-yard punt return by Terry Fair. Graham, 21 carries now, 47 yards.
The UCLA defense has been outstanding. You have to give Rocky Long and the defensive coaches credit. They have disrupted Tennessee's offensive flow. They have kept Peyton Manning certainly off rhythm tonight.
2nd and 15, 9 minutes to go. Manning going across his body and caught out at the 25, short of a first. That's Joey Kent. He now owns the record. Leading receiver in Tennessee history. And boy, have they had some good ones here.
Well, they've had some great receivers here at Tennessee. The thing you like about Joey Kent, he's one of those guys just has a knack for getting open. Here he pushes Javelin Guidry off. Guidry gives him a little bit too much room. Peyton Manning lays the ball outside where only Joey Kent could get it. It's a well-timed pass by the quarterback and receiver.
125th catch of his career for the man from Huntsville, Alabama. Also produced a Tennessee legend named Conridge Holloway, who played in a 17-17 tie against UCLA. Adds to the total. First down. Colbert collars him out of bounds. No flag. 13-yard pickup. Yeah, Huntsville produced Conridge Holloway. He was in one of those great battles between UCLA and Tennessee.
In 1974, Conridge Holloway was knocked out of the game here at Neyland Stadium. They took him off in an ambulance. In the third quarter, he reappeared through the tunnel there. The fans went absolutely berserk. The game ended up in a 17-17 tie. Dick Vermeil's first year at UCLA.
Holloway with a tying touchdown late in that game. Graham only 1 yard with that rush. The Budweiser blimp and its eye-in-the-sky camera, proud to provide you with these live shots about 1,000 feet above Neyland Stadium. The ball at the 41 with 7:42 remaining.
Jim, I was reading through the Tennessee press guide, and they had a note in there. It said when Tennessee was ahead after 3 quarters, they are 50-6. That's their record after 3 quarters when they lead after 3 quarters. They're going to have to fight for this tonight.
Tennessee calls a timeout. 28-20 Volunteers.
The CBS Star of College Football Today is sponsored by Nissan, who remind you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride.
Thank you, Roscoe. Welcome back to our New York studios. I'm Pat O'Brien along with Craig James and the CBS Star of College Football Today.
Well, we could have chosen Chris Miller at USC, 155 yards, 3 catches, but we chose somebody else.
Byron Hanspard, he had 272 yards, 2 touchdowns today. Look at this kid run.
Man, stay low to the ground just like you coach him up. Run for 5 or 6 yards. Boom! You're out of there going for the big, long run. A few more games like today. It won't be the star of the day. He'll be on the Heisman watch list.
And the star of the day gets one of our own special hats. It says Studio Express on the back. And on the front, Pat O'Brien and Craig James. Going out to Byron. Congratulations. Back to the game. Yeah.
Well, here it is. In fact, UCLA and Tennessee, 1974. Conridge Holloway injures his shoulder right here. He had to be carried off the field, taken to the hospital, but then he returns. Crowd went wild. That was in the third quarter. Then with 3 minutes remaining, Holloway scored the tying touchdown on a 12-yard keeper. Final score, Tennessee 17, UCLA 17. They tied again, these two teams, back in 1985, 26-all, but no ties anymore with the new overtime rule. UCLA needs a touchdown and a 2 to force such a situation. Second down and 8. Manning and away from one rusher, and that'll be about 2 yards short of the first. Joey Kent was all Nash in the first half, and that went for big yardage, and Kent getting passes of the short variety here in the second half.
And Peyton Manning showing a little scrambling ability of his own right there. Got away from the rush, found Kent on the sideline for a positive gain.
But 3rd and 2 facing the Vols with under 7 minutes on the clock.
These are the calls that'll wear you out as a coach. You're 3rd and 2. You're close to midfield. This is a critical first down in the game. This is where the coaches earn their money, right here. UCLA coming on the blitz.
Manning pump fake, going long, man open. Joey Kent, touchdown. Took the bite, and you said it, Coach. These are the calls that make the difference.
Well, right here, the pump fake by Peyton Manning froze the blitzers temporarily. They stopped. Peyton Manning was able to reload and put the ball down the field to Joey Kent for the touchdown.
Extra point makes it 35 to 20. A 53-yard hookup. Kent, nothing in the first half. Over 100 yards in the second stanza on a 3rd and 2.
Look at Peyton Manning. Is he excited? The way the Tennessee players and coaches talk about this guy, I've never heard anything like it. They say he's the hardest worker on the team in every single category, be it on the field, in the weight room, or in the film room. This guy outworks everybody on the football team. There, you see why he is a candidate for the Heisman Trophy. And look at him getting right in the faces of those guys, leading them. That's what you like out of your quarterback.
288 yards on the evening, 2 touchdowns, which gives him 36 touchdown passes in his career, tying the school career record held by Andy Kelly and Heath Schuler. Now a 3-way tie. 35 to 20, 6.5 remaining.
The momentum shifts in the second half, particularly here in the fourth quarter, have been tremendous. The psychological ups and downs that the players and the coaches are going through right now, testing the character of both squads.
An 86-yard punt return by Tennessee, an 88-yard touchdown pass by UCLA, and now a 53-yard touchdown hook up by Tennessee. Big plays. Brown lets that one go into the end zone. Touchback. Tonight's attendance, 106,297. The 9th biggest attendance figure of all time on campus.
How about in 2 weeks when Florida comes in here to this stadium? I guarantee you the record's going down that night. There's no way, after being around these people for 2 weeks, that record's going to be standing 2 weeks from now. No way.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Little coming after the quarterback, who throws behind the receiver. Craig Wallendy was the target, but Leonard Little. Phil Fulmer said about Little, he's the best defensive player at Tennessee since Reggie White, and he's not 100%. He has a broken hand. He's been playing with his hand. There it is, the right hand in a cast.
He wears number 1. I talked to him yesterday in honor of his uncle, who passed away when he was in junior college, and he loved college football. And when he came to Tennessee, he asked Phil Fulmer if he could have number 1 in memory of his uncle. That's why he wears it.
Down across the middle. And that's about a yard shy of the first. Reeb with the catch. We saw the cast on the hand of Little. How much does that prevent him from really mixing it up in there?
It's really hard to play defensive line when you have one hand. Defensive linemen need those hands to pull and grab and work their way through those offensive linemen. Little has more use of that hand this week than he had last week. The cast is shorter. He has more access with it. But until that finger gets healed up, he's going to be limited. Plays pretty good with one hand, though, doesn't he?
I'll tell you what. A lot of people wear a cast if they can play like that. 3rd and 1. They run the option, and smothered is McNown by Hines. Tyrone Hines. 5:35 remaining. And the punt team comes onto the field for the Bruins.
Watch the middle linebacker, Tyrone Hines. He scrapes through that void in the offensive line right there and punishes McNown, keeping him short of the first down. That's the way guys play middle linebacker, right there.
Sailors last punt at 54 yards, but this man went 86 yards. Low driving kick.
Not very much hang time on that punt.
There with nowhere to run this time. 37 yards on the punt. 2-yard return. Peyton Manning with, well, looks like to be the decisive blow in this game. The 53-yard touchdown pass. His 2nd of the night. He's also run for 2 scores. He was a cover boy this year on Sports Illustrated's college football preview. His dad, back in 1970, had the same honor. How about the stat comparison between these two? I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Might surprise you a bit. From the 38, flag nullifying the play. Go ahead, Coach. Take us through Peyton and Archie, their college careers.
Well, terrific players both, but look at this stat right down there. Daddy has thrown 40 interceptions. Son, 11.
Say what we can do, though. We can take this number now and make that 36.
That's a bad-looking 6.
I'm sorry. I don't get to use that too often.
Oh, that's why, right there.
Probably never again. 1st and 15. 5-yard step off against the Volunteers. Driving to the 40. Graham last year had 100 yards in every game except the Florida game.
Well, Jay Graham has been somewhat contained tonight and wrapped up by this aggressive UCLA defense, but he's hung in the game. And this guy impressed me as much as any Tennessee football player when we watched him practice this week. He is a rock and loves to run the ball.
Here he is running it again. We're hoping to, but never got a chance to hit his stride. No gain. Approaching 4 minutes remaining. Sean Williams came up with the play for the Bruins. Really exciting big plays tonight. A Nash reception that set up a touchdown pass to Eric Lane. McCullough's interception return for a score. The fair punt return for the TD. Back to Farmer, the freshman. UCLA's 88-yard score. And then Kent on the 3rd and 2 play with the game on the line, 28-20. Third down and 9. Graham brought down by Klein, and Tennessee will punt. Timeout called by the Bruins. And Graham looks a little shaken up, but we'll be right back. .323 remaining. Tennessee will punt the football. And taking some practice throws on the sideline and some snaps, Steve Buck. Is it time for a quarterback change?
Well,
is the game over? I don't think so. Guidry, 25. Brought down, but might be a face mask. That tackle made by Corey Gaines, 38-yard punt.
I don't think the game's over, Jim, and I don't believe Bob Toledo thinks the game's over. I'm surprised that Steve Buck was warming up. Maybe Cade McNown's hurt. Trying to find out right now, but
penalty against the kicking team.
McNown is standing alongside the head coach, Bob Toledo, cheering on Buck, who now comes in and will take a snap for the first time in his college career. Sophomore was a third stringer last year. He's really come on, they said, during training. More of a drop back passer than McNown. 3:08 on the clock, down 15. Pass batted away. Billy Barron. Well, McNown had a pretty good night going.
McNown fought hard in this game. I was impressed with Cade McNown after the things I'd heard about the spring and the preseason. He really fought hard, and look at him. He's over there coaching on the sideline, signaling in, giving Steve Buck his opportunity. What better environment for Steve Buck as a young quarterback to grow to in front of this crowd, away from home? It doesn't get any tougher on a quarterback than this.
He brought Massey into the backfield for the first time tonight. Buck looks right side, and the pass caught at the 32-yard line. That's Massey. Tomorrow, the U.S. Open Finals. Graf Sellis, Sampras Chang. You're the tennis player, Coach. Give me the scouting report.
I'm picking Steffi Graf. I'm also picking Pete Sampras. I know his sister very well, Stella, the coach at UCLA's women's team, and I'm picking Pete Sampras for sure.
Chang today only gave up 8 games against Agassi.
I know, he's tough.
3rd and 5. 2:14 clock running. Buck steps in, fires, first down, 39-yard line. They'll give him the spot for the first down by a yard.
This is a marvelous opportunity now for Steve Buck. He gets to get up and run the 2-minute offense, gets to be in command of the team. He'll grow by leaps and bounds with this playing experience right here.
2:07 remaining. And flags.
Snap was late. Darren McClure, the center, was late with the ball.
By the way, UCLA will open its 97th season on this very weekend next year at home against Tennessee. So these two will tangle again.
Dead ball foul. False start on the offense, 5-yard penalty.
There was a motto for the week. Let it rip is what Bob Toledo told them last night at a team meeting. Gave all the players a T-shirt, said let it rip. Got nothing to lose. We're going to attack. Don't worry about the fans. Don't worry or be afraid. Here they throw back. Oh, incomplete. Incomplete, intended for Jamal Clark. Don't be afraid to fail. And I think UCLA was fearless in this game.
I do too. I think that they made a very good account of themselves. Obviously, they want to win the football game, but they let it rip tonight. There were some big plays on both sides. You have to remember, Tennessee is the #2 team in the country. They have tremendous speed on both sides of the ball, and their kicking game, that can rank with anybody's.
2nd and 15. Buck complete. 34-yard line, Derek Ayers. But Hines converging right away. There's a timeout called. UCLA has 1 remaining. We'll take it with them. 1:43 on the clock. Tennessee on its way to victory. Now this live view courtesy of the Bud 1 airship, which has been seen by millions on its ongoing Goodwill tour. 1:43 remaining in this game. Tennessee 35, UCLA 20. 3rd down and 15. Steve Buck got a big-time arm. Pass
Caught.
Incomplete. No injuries, the word from the sideline with McNown. Just a coach's decision to go with Buck with 3.5 remaining.
Well, I know Bob Toledo is very high on Steve Buck. He needs to get him some experience. I'm quite sure that's why he put him in the game. But Cade McNown played well tonight with 3.5 minutes to go. I'm not sure I'd take out my #1 quarterback.
Buck on 4th down. Stopped well short of it. Tennessee will now run out the clock. Bill Duff delivers the hit and a change of downs. Loss of downs.
You know, Tennessee at home, over the years, they have a 79% winning percentage. And when you look around this stadium, we were in that football building yesterday with Phil Fulmer. What an impressive facility that is. You look, they're going to build a new academic facility. This man is relieved with this victory. This was a tough psychological game for them. Easy victory last weekend. Florida on the horizon. UCLA in here tonight. An underrated UCLA football team, by the way. This man is relieved that he's got himself a win against the Bruins.
Fulmer about to go to 35-7 as a head coach. Manning to one knee. Fulmer 35-7. The only coaches to beat him: Steve Spurrier 3 times, Joe Paterno once, along with Jackie Sherrill, Gene Stallings, and Terry Donahue.
Trust me when I tell you, he's not worried about me. It's that Steve Spurrier statistic that he's thinking about right now. He's got 2 weeks to get ready for the Gators. The Gators have 2 weeks to get ready for Tennessee. I can't wait to be here.
Coming up on September the 21st, as he says, Bill Fulmer, we've had that circled on our calendar for a long time. Since the second half blues down in Gainesville last year. Tennessee led in that game 30-14 at one time, then gave up 48 unanswered. 35 seconds, clock running. So Tennessee will move 2-0. Will have an off week. Their schedule really favorable this year. They have an off week before Florida, then Mississippi. They'll play in Memphis. They have only 2 games outside of the state, at Georgia. There's Alabama on the 26th with another off week before the Crimson Tide comes here.
Well, Coach Doug Dickey makes that schedule. That's made by an ex-football coach who appreciates what schedule should be like.
Another game out of state at South Carolina. Peyton Manning, 2 touchdown passes, 2 quarterback sneaks for touchdowns. And the Volunteers, in a hard-fought battle, as is the tradition of this rivalry, pulls it out 35-20. What a matchup that'll be. Back here at Neyland Stadium.
There'll be not only SEC ramifications, maybe national championship ramifications, and maybe Heisman Trophy.
Let's go down, Coach, to Michelle Tafoya.
All right, guys. Well, with Peyton Manning, and congratulations on the win. You guys came into this game not really knowing what to expect from the Bruins. How much did that impact what happened out here tonight?
Well, it played an impact. We really didn't know what to expect, and they did some different things and kept us off balance early on in the game. Obviously, we had some key turnovers that kept them in the game, and finally started taking care of the ball, hit the big play to Joey Kent, ended up with a big win.
Now you guys have 2 weeks to prepare for Florida, which everyone knows is really your biggest game of the season. How have you been able to stay focused, and what will you guys concentrate on the next 2 weeks?
Well, we have to stay focused, and we came into this game knowing we had to have a big win against UCLA. We do have 2 weeks to prepare for Florida, and that's going to play an important role. And, you know, Florida's the team to beat in the SEC. Everybody's chasing Florida. We're going to go out and give it our best shot.
All right. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. This is your first big night on national television. Obviously, you're in the Heisman chase. Not a typical night for Peyton Manning.
Well, I'll tell you, UCLA played well. They kept us off balance early on, had some key turnovers. I give them a lot of credit. It's a big win for us. We'll take it any way we can get it.
Congratulations on the win.
Well, thank you. All right.
Well, Terry, UCLA came in as an enigma tonight. We really didn't know what to expect from this bunch. New coach, new coordinators. They lost Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They lost Jonathan Ogden. What did you think?
Well, I think Tennessee's happy to get this game out of the way. An important victory for Tennessee on the road to the national championship and the conference championship. UCLA played better than people expected them to. they can have a very good football team before the year's out.
You did well. You didn't even hurl yourself down on the field, Coach.
A couple times I wanted to.
No we's or us. Excellent. Look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. So for Terry Donahue and Michelle Tafoya, I'm Jim Nance saying so long from Neyland Stadium, where again the final score is Tennessee 35, UCLA 20. Tomorrow on CBS, it's the men's and women's finals of the United States Open Tennis Championships beginning at 2 p.m. In 2 weeks, college football returns to CBS. The Tennessee Volunteers host the Florida Gators in a classic SEC matchup. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports.